Welcome back to the County Seat. We are talking today about the differences between cities and counties, and we have put together a representative of county government and a representative of city government. Joining us for the conversation, Commissioner Nathan Ivie from Utah County. And just to make sure that there's no Jerry Springer moments here, we brought in a mayor from Sevier County, the mayor of Richfield, David Charles Ogden. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. We've kind of covered the basics of the different relationship counties and cities have with the state and how they function with state. But I want to start at a different kind of relationship that counties and cities have each other, because people generally are very, very confused that live in a community when they say, is this a county issue? Is it a city issue? What is the toughest part of your relationship with the cities in your county? We'll start with you, Commissioner Ivie.
Probably one of the most challenging issues is land use ordinances. A lot of times people will call the county thinking it's our use and our ordinances that are restricting them when it's a city's, or vice versa. You know, they'll be complaining to the city when it's actually a county ordinance or law that's inhibiting. And so I think understanding the jurisdictional separations and the ordinance separations often causes a lot of conflict for the citizens and confusion.
What is your biggest problem as a mayor working with a county?
Well, we don't have many problems with our county. Our county commissioners are wonderful, good people, hardworking, and we just, you know, jurisdictional questions is a problem, but that can usually be solved by just talking it out, explaining where you live, who's in charge in that area, and we just usually get it worked out quite well. It's not really a big problem. The biggest difference between mayors and county commissioners is that county commissioners get paid to be good and we're good for nothing.
Well, I didn't think this was going that direction, but this is okay.
No comment.
So one of the things when I talk to people that they talk about the most are duplicated services. That they go, well, we just incorporated as a city, and of course that's pretty much done now in Salt Lake, but we've incorporated as a city and now I'm paying for taxes, and there's a county dog catcher, there's a city dog catcher. How much duplication is there really between the cities and the counties?
We see that quite frequently, especially as new cities emerge. Obviously, we face that problem fairly consistently with a lot of annexation that occurs within our municipalities. And also, one of the real problems we get is little pockets that get left that don't get annexed into cities. And then those little areas get really problematic because you'll have a little isolated island in the middle of a city that's actually a county jurisdiction for our dog catcher, and the city police or the city dog catcher doesn't respond because it's actually county. That's one of the real areas of problem, is when we are left with those islands of unincorporated areas within municipalities. And we see that frequently here, and a lot of that's because of the rapid growth of the county.
That's also a problem for us, Chad. We've just been working with our commissioners recently to try to get some of those pockets into the city. And they've given us their blessing to do that and their encouragement for just these reasons, because it's kind of confusing for the citizens that live in those little pockets.
I imagine it could be pretty costly for a county. I mean, if you've got an area that's like 4 blocks by 4 blocks and you have to drive a half a mile or 2 miles through the city with the snowplow just to plow those few streets, it probably really it hampers your budget and your time probably.
Very much so, and that's why it's critical that we have good working relationships with our cities, our mayors and city councils, and that we go through those incorporation processes properly and holistically so that we avoid those financial problems that arise when we get those pockets created.
This is just brought up another question that I see quite frequently, is people say, I don't want to be annexed into the city because my taxes are going to go up. Explain that. Is that really an issue?
Not necessarily. It just is different. They get taxed from a different direction, but it doesn't really cost them more to be in the city. It actually can save them. And the reason that cities were incorporated to begin with is to save on services. Well, originally it was for protection back in the day, but now it's to save on services, and that can happen if you're right on the doorstep of the city or you're in the city and in one of those unincorporated areas.
I think that's where it's important to understand the model of governance that your county and your cities and your municipalities have. For instance, in Utah County, in the county itself, we actually don't offer services. We don't have sewer, water, et cetera. And so we've ensured through that model that our growth occurs in the city. So you might cost more if you were incorporated in, but that's because you're all of a sudden getting a sewer hookup, you're getting a water hookup, you're getting those services being delivered to you. And so that's actually what you're paying for. And so you're actually getting a lot more in that case than what we would have been providing otherwise.
Well, so, Nathan, you're poised to be one of the places, I mean, Salt Lake County is pretty much filled up. There's Emigration Canyon. I think there's 6 townships or unincorporated areas left in the whole county. It represents maybe 5% of the land mass. You're going to be in that spot, I would imagine, in the next 20 years. How do you plan for that in losing all that service that you're now providing?
I think that's where this relationship becomes critical that we have with our mayors and our councils and our planning, particularly with our regional planning organizations. We have in Utah County, we have MAG, it's a regional planning organization, and the purpose and function of that is to make sure that the various cities get together, that they coordinate their efforts, and that the county coordinates their efforts on everything from connecting sewer lines, water lines, roads, infrastructure, so that as that growth occurs, it becomes seamless. I have good friends that live down in the Richfield area in Annabella, and you know, there's distinction between those cities right now. There could become a point in time where Annabella and Richfield look a lot alike. So I'm sure those regional planning things have to occur there as well, so that you have a master plan of where you're going as a community.
They do indeed. Just tomorrow, we're meeting with one of our commissioners and the county road person, and we're going to talk about a new road going between Richfield and Annabelle, and it will provide great service for the people in Annabelle to get out to the freeway more quickly, and yet it goes through some of our property, and we're working together to make that happen. It's a good thing. Cooperation is so important, and we're very fortunate in our county to have great commissioners and mayors that want to work together. So it's a good thing.
So are you caught as a county just trying to connect the dots between the cities, and that ends up being a lot of your planning until they butt up against each other?
A lot of our planning and role as a county entity particularly is that. It's connecting the dots. We're the liaison. We're the one great big hole that tries to pull everyone together. And that's a lot of our role, is to make sure that that coordination happens from municipality to municipality.
How different would it be if you guys traded jobs? I mean, would that be like a seismic shift? Or, you know, some people look at it and say, well, they're just doing the same thing. They're just doing it for a different boss.
Well, all mayors, and I assume all county commissioners, are really full-time people. They may have a job, they may work at something else, but essentially you're a full-time mayor. And I imagine you do this full-time.
Yes.
So we both work very hard at it.
I think one of the distinctive factors is understanding your county form of government, your municipality form of government. For example, I hold legislative and administrative and quasi-judicial authority as a commissioner. Many municipalities have that power separated into a council and a mayor that is only administrative, and some cities actually have mayors that do have legislative authority. And so understanding the form of government that your county operates under and that your city operates under will help you know who to go to get problems resolved. If it's legislative, you're going to have to go to your commissioner or to your city council. Your mayor may not be the right person, but if it's administrative action, your mayor would be the one to talk to.
And we also have a 6-county organization of governments, which really has opened my eyes to be involved in that, of how they work together in a regional form of government that helps provide services for citizens, and that's also a very good thing.
So that's kind of interesting. When it's in the 6-county regional office, that's Russ Crowley's joint. They provide services to both counties and cities within the district.
Absolutely, and they do a great job. I was so impressed. It's something that I had to learn as mayor. I found out that there are other services available for our citizens. They just need to be made aware of it.
I think this is a critical component to this discussion here, because it brings up the underlying point of what I think this is about, and that's the effect that local government has on citizens' lives. They can adapt in Richfield and come up with models like the 6th County. We have MAG, we have our other municipalities. When you govern locally, you are able to adapt and make the best decisions for your citizens that greatly impact their life and do the most for them. That's why it's absolutely essential that we have a look at a new localism in America, that we have a look at our mayor, and that you realize it's more important who you vote into the commission seat in your council than it is for president, because we're making the decisions and have the flexibility to affect your lives in a positive way that the national scene will never have.
And it's an accessible thing,
It's accessible. We're your neighbor.
Yep. I think, amen to that. Any final thoughts?
Well, I'd just like to say that everybody needs a place to be from and a place to come home to. And that's the reason that cities and counties exist. And that's what we try to provide for our citizens, a place to be from and a place to come home to, and be happy to do that. And so I'm inviting you down to Sevier County. Got a great quilt show. I just talked to my wife. We've got trails coming up this August, a trail country, Utah. Love to have you come down, and you too, Nathan. They're going to have horse rides.
So we do.
I know you'd like that.
Yes, we were down there with UAC not too long ago on an ATV trail ride, and it's a beautiful area. And again, I think that's just an illustration of the services that we can provide for our citizens and how dedicated we are as locally elected officials to providing that improved quality of life at that local level.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Nathan, for making this nice conference room available at the County Administrative Office here in Utah County, where we've taped this segment. We will be right back with the county seat. We will continue our conversation. We will take a close look in our On the Ground segment at the transition between unincorporated or county governance and city governance as we recount the creation of a city. We'll be back with the county seat in just a minute.